All right, greetings. Send you all some warm, positive vibrations. So absolutely cannot stay on here too long because I have work to do. But just something I was thinking of as I was here in the garden and turning some soil. I always reflect that I'm glad that so much more has, that at this point we can pretty much sit back and watch things unfold. And we can watch folks that are green, uninformed, without a frame of reference. You can observe people that are so enamored by words. There's actually a term for it called sapiosexual. Look it up, sapiosexual. That don't do background checks, that we don't do a vetting process, when we're so enamored with someone's words or their gift of gab, or they're seeming to present something different. And so one of the techniques and or patterns of cults is in their language. They seek to, if you can't be isolated initially physically, is to isolate you and even have you put up a wall of defense of questioning. So you become so enamored with this personality that you start defending someone, becoming blindsided to the fact that you don't know them personally and you haven't lived with them. So I'm watching this unfold, and I just lay back in the cut at this point, because many folks will come to the channel that often, and they make comments, and it's neither here nor there, but as a people, we have a tendency to be very shaming. We habitually hurl insults like stupid, or you should know this or that, like we're watching a movie. And really from an uninformed position, as much as people may think that they are aware of from looking at a screen, there is so much that you can't see. And one of the patterns that I see with folks is folks will come, make a quick judgment like they're watching a TV program, and never ask questions. Now, first of all, you don't know folks intimately. So whether you agree or not with what you see on the screen, the whole point of even posting things here is to use their critical thinking, their critical judgment, to give a vetting process to everyone before you let them into your psyche, and before you start defending them, and before you isolate yourself, or before you give your resources. One of the biggest things, or the most important things that people could be encouraged to do, this is with anybody, pseudo-spiritual religious, is to ask questions, because it has become very apparent that any person or peoples that have been traumatized are very vulnerable to being manipulated, extremely vulnerable. And if we were to step back and objectively, it makes us gullible and vulnerable and so desperate in relationships with our fathers, being abandoned. These things make us very vulnerable to things that are quite natural, which are human relationships. And a lot of the times that's what people are craving. People are running away from things that they themselves have feel shame about, shame to such a degree that people would really subject themselves, ourselves, to things that don't make sense because it's not logical, due to just internal issues. It might not even be that bad. So left to our own. And so folks are putting their lives and their decision making in the hands of folks that are not qualified, or that they haven't qualified, because we like the things that we hear. So as you sit back and you watch predators, con artists, this can be on a grand scale, on a small scale, they know when folks are green. So as I watch some of the young people listening to the rhetoric of some of these cult leaders, I don't like to mention their names at this point because I don't want to give them any energy. It's interesting to watch people's eyes, young people and some older women, even some older men, so enamored. You can see that folks are missing out, and maybe we don't want to admit it, on basic relationships with our parents. So this leaves us wide open and vulnerable. There's also so much unprocessed trauma that no one addresses, that this is what makes most folks open to being manipulated, and that can be by a church, that can be by a country, a politician. So the information that's put here, folks, I would say, do themselves a disservice to come and yell at a screen or to be a keyboard warrior. If you come and you say, and you're entitled to your opinion, if someone thinks a movement is stupid, but when you leave the page, did you leave with any kind of insight? Did you ask any questions? Did you learn anything? These are patterns that a manipulator can peep out. And so we may think that we're blurting out something very intelligent from our insight, but it doesn't occur to us. We didn't ask any greetings. Um oh, you're welcome. We didn't ask any questions. We blurt these things out like it's so intelligent, like we're making this intelligent assessment. You do realize you're looking at a screen. And so with all these other things unfolding, I've said from the beginning, this has been quite an education, and in a way, um, it's a blessing, because without all of this stuff coming forward, I mean, you don't want anyone to suffer. Many of us would still be walking around green, and you'd wonder, can a whole country, can a whole group of people be manipulated? And as you can see it being played out in front of your eyes. You can see people that haven't been exposed or don't have a frame of reference or haven't dealt up close with a con artist. You can watch the whole thing being played out in front of your eyes. So if you can see, look at these ants, if you can see the patterns, then if we step back and remove the story, you can see, like, wow, this is easy for this to be occurring countrywide throughout our community. It's been happening for a long time. So it would be beneficial to folks to, if you come to the channel, if you're going to use the internet, why not make a positive use of the internet to educate yourself? You don't have to agree with everything on these channels, but instead of coming and blurting out, oh, something, this person, that person is stupid. Does that make you feel better or more enlightened? Did you learn anything? Did you learn? Because this is not an entertainment channel. And also, these patterns could also tell us how we are operating out in the world. We're not asking critical thinking questions of politicians or the bottom line. So we leave, our ego gets off, and maybe we feel better than the people we're looking at. But you didn't learn anything new. You didn't peep a pattern. So, I and my sister, I absolutely cannot be on here and spend a whole bunch of time, nor do I desire, because, it's very clear that most folks are in for the entertainment, and you'll hear in the comments, people getting their popcorn. These are people's lives. This tells you also, even some of the internalized self-hatred, the callousness, and you can even see how a lot of our community is a breeding ground for narcissists due to neglect and abuse. And there are consistent patterns throughout all these cults. The one I have experienced personally, the ones I have watched, black and white, but definitely the ones from my community. If we were honest, we could see that the neglect and the abuse, clear. And the cult leaders and politicians, these folks, they know this is a science. They learn from each other. They refine the process. They know that people that have been traumatized are wide open to be manipulated. And this goes beyond logic. This is not a matter of stupid. There's a difference between naive, stupid, and ignorant. And actually, many of us are willfully ignorant due to trying that. How can I say? Well, willfully ignorant because many people are trying to cope with trauma. Even being willfully ignorant is out of desperation, with trying not to deal or to really deal with the reality of our situation, of being in a narcissistic relationship with the country, with our parents. Some people are yelling at the screen. Where are their parents? I mean, come on, it's obvious. Many folks are operating without parents. So when we act like we don't understand, I don't think it leaves us in a better position to make more critical, to be cultivating discernment. And this is a time of discernment. This is a time where critical thinking and discernment is really, really important. So I have a whole lot of dirt to turn and to enrich, so we can plant some more collards and some kale. Our garden is coming along nicely, and we have made a decision a long time ago, even when we came here, to be about the business of life. And that's whether you are in a city, if you are in a tropical environment. As I've said before, they're all trade-offs. is so busy looking at the next group like they have something better. Even when I was in the States, I've always made the best of any living situation that I'm in. AKA, I was growing food in jars and stockings in a small apartment. So, and there are benefits even if you're in a city environment. There are community gardens. There are opportunities to share work. You have educational resources available to you. So a lot of these things, if we would handle them, in addition to making the effort to leverage the information available to find things that are therapeutic that we can do for ourselves, these things would make us less vulnerable to manipulation. So with that, create a great day, encouraging everyone to grow something. Everyone could grow something, even if it's some sprouts or some microgreens and so on. Invite you to create a great day on purpose. Take care.